Hi, teammates. This is Sean J. McCall. I am your host for this edition of Let's Talk. Wherever you are in the world, if you stay here for 1 minute or the whole time we're on, I appreciate you. And without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it and get my guest in, and we're going to get started. Second now, make sure my thing is ready. Did it not go through? There it is. Yo,
Yo, what's up?
go. There we go. So, thank you for joining, my guy. I appreciate it. I gotta send a shout out to someone who he knows who he is if he's watching, who made this interview possible because he hit you up. I was actually on his page and he posted something about you, and I was like, man, I've been trying to interview him for 2 years now. And he's like, I'm gonna hit him up. I was like, good luck. So I appreciate the assist. And yeah, so we're going to jump right into it, man. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Can you just give a quick intro, your name and stuff, where you're at right now, and then we're going to jump right into it.
Uh, yeah, my name's Jonah Radebaugh. Playing in Spain right now, about to getting ready to go home actually. Fifth year pro overseas. Uh, yeah, that's about it. That's me right there.
Okay, we're going to find out more through the questions.
Hmm.
Before I start, any of you out there, if you would like to ask a question, just throw it in the comment section at the bottom of the screen. It'll pop up. I'll see it, and I'll try to get them in. Maybe it's something that I'm already planning on asking, but I'll try my best to get the questions in. So, you bet on yourself, and that's going to be a common theme throughout this interview. You bet on yourself back in after high school by turning down a D3 offer that was guaranteed playing time to go to Northern Colorado as a walk-on. Tell me about that decision-making promise, how you said, okay, no, I'm going to turn this down and I'm going to go walk on to a D1 program.
Um, well, I mean, coming out of high school, I didn't have any D1 offers. I had, like you said, I had one Division 3 offer of a school that really wanted me, but it was a private school also, so I knew I was still gonna be paying out of pocket even if they gave me like, whatever money they could. I had that. I had another D2 school here in Colorado, Adams State. They wanted me to walk on there also. But I knew I was better than walking on at a D2 or a D3 school. So I was kind of just waiting it out, seeing if anything came last minute. And my high school coach actually he played at Northern Colorado, so he had some connections in through the coaching staff. So he ended up getting me a tryout, which is like I pretty much went into it like, okay, if I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna, work out, play, and if it doesn't work out, like I'll go with what I got. Like it's
Right.
no big deal. I wasn't expecting anything to really even come of it. But I went to that first tryout, man, and I killed it, like
Mm,
straight killed it. And so they called me back for another one. I went to another open gym stretch and killed it. Like was playing amazing. Like I don't, it was out of body experience for me, really, having a
mm,
great time. But then, so when they finally said like, okay, we want you, like you can walk on, we have a preferred walk on spot here. Like we want you to be, we want you to have that spot. Like it was, I didn't even think twice about it. Like there was no, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. There was no like, okay, maybe I'd play more somewhere else, maybe this, maybe that. It was just, I had one goal and I wanted to play like the highest level basketball I could possibly play.
mm,
So it took no thinking, there wasn't even a waiting period. Like they said that and I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. Like that's it. So
mm.
it was such a no-brainer for me that I knew what I wanted already. So I don't know. You have somebody who says we want you like this. Like I was
Right.
like, simple. You just want to be wanted. Simple. I'll take it. Let's go.
Right. And then you ended up having a really good career. You were three times Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year. Um, when you left college, what was the process like selecting an agent? Did they come to you or did you have to go to agents?
No, actually, my year since I graduated 2020,
Mm,
the COVID stuff, it messed with a lot of
right.
things. So when I graduated, I had, like a couple of smaller agencies reaching out about representation, but one of my teammates from the year prior had already signed with Octagon and had Like he's like my brother, like one of my best friends all throughout college and everything. So he had signed with Octagon, and I knew they were treating him well. So I said, like, I messaged him and said, like, yo, can you connect me with somebody there? Like, so I went through that
Friend vouching.
process. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I went through that process with like I would just compare like some of the smaller guys to Octagon on the other side. And once I knew like Octagon wanted me, like I kind of, I had some meetings with my college coaches and we kind of like talked it out, the pros and the cons. But once Octagon said like, okay, we'll take you like a couple days, and I was like, all right, cool. Like you guys, I trust you guys. Like I'm in
Mhm.
because, but one of my biggest things with picking an agent was I didn't want to be with a big agency at first because I didn't want to get like lost in the cracks with when they have so many guys. But so that's really why I was thinking about going with a smaller agent. But man, I had one like a horror story. I'm not gonna lie, one horror story with one of the guys that reached out. It's a quick story. I'll tell it
Go
quick
ahead, man.
story.
Let
Yeah,
it fly. Let it fly.
it was a guy. He messaged me on like Instagram. I gave him like my email, and he sent like a little like a packet pretty much. And
Mhm.
then me and my college coach at the time, we hopped on a phone call with him and just to like kind of get vet him out because I didn't know anything about the agent process. It was one of the first guys just to kind of vet him out. And he's like name dropping some guys that he works out with in like Florida and like all these types of things. So we get off the phone and my coach was like, okay, like give me a couple days. I know some guys in these areas. Like I'll check him out, like see if he's legit. A couple days go by, he calls me back and he's like, "Yo, all these guys that he said they've never heard of him." I was like, "What? They don't?" He was like, "Yeah, they've never heard of this guy. They don't know him at all. Never met him. Never seen him. He's never around, like anything like that." And I'm like, "Man, why are you wasting my time with this? Just straight wasting my time." But that's like. And after I had that experience with the smaller guys, I was like, all right, I know I have a guy in this alley already. Like, I'm gonna sign here. I know they're gonna take care of me. Like, and as long as I'm doing my job, they'll do their job. So I had to go with that. After that, after the everybody came back, it was like three or four connects that were all like, yeah, they've never heard of this guy. They don't know him. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good with this.
um, uh, Side note, his name wouldn't happen to be Allen, would it?
I can't even remember. I don't.
Okay,
After
good, good.
once
Okay,
I had that, I was
okay,
like, I don't
okay,
flushed it
good.
all
All
out.
right,
Don't
never
even want
mind.
to know.
There's a couple scandalous agents out there that I know about, and I was just wondering if that might have been it. So you start your career in Sweden. Um, you had a good year in Sweden, and then number two of you betting on yourself, you leave Sweden on a clause that you can get out if a team in another country wants you.
Hmm.
You go to Ludwigsburg, but don't have a contract. You pretty much walked on at Ludwigsburg.
Pretty
So
much.
again, you've bet on yourself. You left a place where you probably could have stayed. Took a chance on yourself. How did the contact with was John the coach then? John Patrick?
Hmm. Hmm.
How did the contact with John come up where you said, okay, I'm gonna try to go there and see what happens?
Well, I knew when I went to Sweden in the first place, it was more of like okay, I know like like again, it was 2020 thing. It was like already
Mhm,
September by that point,
mhm.
and I was like, okay, we're waiting forever. Teams are really hesitant to pull the trigger right now because of everything going on. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to Sweden and I'll basically stay in shape, like still
Right,
be playing basketball instead of just sitting at home. And after the few months at Sweden, like I hated it so much. I'm not gonna lie. I hated it so much. The basketball it was just not to my liking. It was, I'm a rookie, I'm overseas, like I'm learning all this new stuff, and
right,
I'm like,
right,
man, there were some growing pains. But when Ludwigsburg came up, I had already knew that Ludwigsburg wanted me before I had went to Sweden. They were just one of the teams that were really hesitant on like
right,
spending money at the time.
right.
So yeah, when that opportunity came up, my agent basically again gave me like the okay, you can, take this left path where you stay here in Sweden, you finish the year out and you maybe try again next year, or we can go to Germany. You've got a coach that knows about you, that likes you, wanted you already like a couple months ago, and you can try this, and if it doesn't work, like, you're not really losing much else because, we'll find somewhere else for you to go if it
Got
doesn't
it.
work. So I went to Germany, and it was just, again, I had some growing pains. Still a rookie, had some real growing pains, but I got to play for John Patrick, who is, a character in his own
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But you know, all things considered, a really good coach. But yeah, I knew that he had already liked me and had interest in me and was watching me in college a little bit. So it wasn't like I was full, like, just straight, jumping off the boat straight into the ocean. Like, I knew that he at least had interest in
Right.
me. So I'm like, okay, if they call me up and do all of this stuff, like me being naive back then, I know now that teams will call up guys, have them come work out and be like, okay, thanks, but no thanks, and you leave. Yeah. I didn't really, I didn't know much about that. I'm like, okay, if they want me, this will, like, of course they'll find me out and they'll keep me and do all this. So yeah, that's kind of how that came up. It was like you said, I bet on myself again. I left Sweden with nothing. I went to Sweden with nothing, left Sweden with pretty much nothing,
Mhm.
and took a chance. And it worked out amazing for me in my career.
So you had your first game for John for Ludwigsburg in December. Had a pretty
Hmm.
solid game, 6 points, something like that. Um, After that first game, did you think like, okay, I belong here now? This is real. Like now, I'm going all in.
After that first game, I don't know if I felt I for a lot of my time in Germany, I felt like I was trying to, like,
Fit in.
assimilate myself. Yeah, I was trying to fit in. I was
Mhm.
trying to assimilate myself to the
Mhm.
game and to the
Mhm.
team and all of that stuff really quick. And after that first game, like, I played decent, but I was like, I don't know. I've always had a sense, even when I was in college, like, I was the walk on. I'm not as talented as all these guys. I'm like, I have to prove to myself that I fit here, like that
Mhm.
I belong where I'm supposed to be right now. So even after that first game, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they like me. I'm playing. I didn't even expect to play that game. I'm like, they just signed me. He's threw me straight into the fire. So I wasn't even expecting to play that, but I'm like, after that, like, I kind of realized, like, okay, like, I can play here. I just kind of have to. I got to keep it going. And then my season went kind of up and
Mhm.
down with, like, playing time and my consistency of just being on the court. But, like, and that made me second guess myself a little bit. But
Hey,
I don't ever think after that I knew that I belonged. Like, I
mhm.
just had to prove it to myself that I belong.
Hey, you were a rookie and you were playing in the first league in Germany, which is not the easiest place for rookies a lot of times. So, I mean, in that sense, you trying to fit in, you had an American coach, that's kind of a normal growing pain process. You came late
Hmm.
in the season or later in the season. I think that's pretty normal. I think that's something that happens. And looking back on it, is there anything you wish you could tell yourself back then that you know now about that rookie season?
Everything. I felt like I came into this knowing so little, like, about anything and everything that had to
Wait,
do with.
stop. Hold on. Shameless self promotion. If you would have had this book, same name, different game, your guide to a
Oh
successful
yeah.
European rookie season, you would have been good. Okay,
Bro.
that's enough shameless self promotion. Go ahead.
See, I knew so little about it, and, like, maybe like a week before I was supposed to fly out to, like, Sweden, I found, I don't know if you know him, his name's Carlin Brown, I believe. He
Yeah,
does
yeah,
point
yeah,
advising. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I found
yeah.
his page,
He's
and that was
great.
the first,
Actually,
like.
he is the guy that made me start doing what I do because I found him and I was like, hey, this guy's pretty good. And I developed things then and I
Hmm.
hit Harlan up and I was like, hey, how are you doing this? And he gave me a lot of tips. He was like really helpful. And I was like, thank you for not gatekeeping. And ever since then, me and him have been
He
cool.
he was on some, like, if I found his page a week before I left, and I was like, okay, like, what should I pack? What should I bring? Like, this and that. And, like, I was so overwhelmed when I got there. I felt like I was so in over my head. Like, there was, I went to Greeley. When I went to Northern Colorado, Greeley is an hour away from where I grew up. So, like, I'm away from my family, but not really.
Are you
Not
from
like,
Denver?
yeah, I'm from Denver. Yeah.
That's where
So,
my brother is.
exactly. Yeah. hour away from my family. They're
Yeah,
coming to like every home game and everything.
yeah.
Like basically still living at home pretty much. So like this is
Mhm.
my first time away from home, but I'm across the world. These people don't speak the language that I speak. I don't speak their language. Like there was so many things about that. And on top of that, like I'm learning a new style of basketball pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And like
And
I'm
you're a
used
point
to
guard
being
too.
everybody exactly. And
That's
I'm
a
used to being the man too. Like at that point I had a great senior season in college. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna be doing the same things like I was just doing. And
nah.
oh my God. Oh my God. I was just shocked, bro. For a whole year, I was like, this isn't what I expected it to be. I
hmm
have no idea what I'm doing.
hmm
Like I really had no idea what was going on the whole time. And if I could tell myself like anything, like it would be like we'd need a month for us to have a conversation like this for me and myself to really understand like
Yeah,
what I was about to like experience in
yeah,
that year. Because it
yeah.
was just everything. I'm doing everything wrong. Everything wrong. I'm like
John was
even
probably
in
yelling at you. And,
exactly, yeah. I'm going home. I'm like, man, I suck at basketball. I can't do anything right. Like, how am I supposed to play if I can't do anything right in practice and this and that? And like, you get in the game and you shoot one shot and you miss, and you're like, oh my God, they're gonna take me
They're gonna
out. Like,
fire me.
yeah, I'm gonna lose this job and everything. Like, I knew
It's a
so
different
little.
type of pressure when you're a rookie and
Yeah.
a point guard and playing for an American coach.
hmm
That's a different type of pressure.
And I mean, I've played for a couple non-American coaches now too. I think if I would have had like a Balkan coach that first year, I probably would have quit, I think. I don't think I would have made it. That would have been rough. But it was such a rough year for me, but like looking back like the I feel like every rookie kind of has to go through
Yeah,
that for
yeah,
themselves, but
yeah.
I wasn't ready for what it was going to be. I was shell shocked for a year, really. I needed it. I didn't know.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to a little bit off the court stuff. Um, your wife, you and Liz, you guys have been together for about a little over 11 years.
Yeah.
How does she handle the constant moving, and how does it being a husband, how does that influence where you go?
Mm. Um, it hadn't really affected me much, that last part of like choosing where to go until
Yeah.
last year. Last year I had a chance to I had like some real office or interest to go to Jerusalem.
Mhm.
And you know, there was like the war going on at the
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
um I ended up going to Turkey. I went to Galatasaray instead. And I remember when we were like getting ready to leave, her family was really worried about her. Like, it's a Muslim country. Like, do you know how they treat women out there? And like, is
Right.
everything gonna be okay? And like this and that. And I just have to reassure them, like, okay, like, yes, she's American and she's gonna be in these other places, but most of these places, like, especially you go to Turkey, like, I can pull the Gala card anywhere, and I'm treated like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay, like this guy's good, like everybody's fine with him. But I really haven't had a lot of those things come up. We've been blessed to be since that year in Sweden. I played in Germany. I played Germany, amazing country for anybody living there. Spain, amazing country for anybody. Turkey, also another really good country for anybody like living there. So I haven't had a ton of those problems. She's really supportive of, you know, me making those decisions of where we want to go and, you know, the right situations for me basketball wise.
Right.
So she kind of lets me, you know, I have the leeway in that, and she, you know, I'm grateful for her. She'll trust my guidance for the most part.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about the mullet.
Mm.
I, I I do a lot of research for these interviews, and I couldn't find a picture of you without the mullet. How long have you had? Two questions. How long have you had the mullet, and do you remember what you look like without the mullet?
Well, I've had the mullet since I want to say seventh grade was the last time I didn't have a mullet. And the funny thing about it is I used to get but like I used to go to the barber and I'd say, give me one all around. Like, so I'd have the
All
straight buzz cut when I was a kid, straight buzz cut. And I got to like seventh grade and I was playing football at the time. So I got a mohawk, like was playing American football. I'm like, ooh, I gotta be tough guy, get a mohawk. I get the mohawk, and then after that, it's kind of growing out. And I go to the barber with my brother, and he's like, you know, you should get a mullet. He says that to me, and I was like, I'm in
Okay.
seventh grade. I love,
Okay.
you know, like at the time, yeah, exactly. Like what my small older brother, like whatever he says, I'm like, yeah, sure, like I'll do it. Like, you know, it's my brother. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And literally since then, I just felt like it kind of fit. I had a good barber who did it right the first
The
time.
first time, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, cool. Like this is kind of me. And literally since then, it's just been that's just me. And I do remember what I looked like without it because all of my basketball pictures when I was a kid,
Mhm.
anytime anybody sees or like anything, because my dad used to take a ton of pictures at those games. Anytime anyone sees those pictures, they're like, that's you, and it's me with the straight buzz cut, buzz like swagged out, like crazy. But
Okay, good.
nobody sees that side of me anymore. I'll go back to that one day, but I don't know.
I got
We'll see.
you. I got you. I'll be looking on Instagram trying to figure out when you're gonna do it. Oh, I had a question from someone here, A Will 03. Any skills that will translate to European basketball that will lead to success no matter what the position is? What do you think?
Hmm. I think one of the one things that I've always felt like is a nice skill that I have that not everybody has is being able to. It's not really like a. I don't know if you call it like like a basketball itself skill, but being able to follow directions.
Mm,
Like if a coach draws something up in the timeout, you need to know where you are and you need to know what to do the first time he says it. You don't like you don't get the redraw and all that stuff. Like you need the first time that he says it, this is me, this is what I'm doing. You know, this is what everybody else is doing, so I know how to time it up and those types of things. And I mean, like now in today's game, honestly, you have to be able to shoot the basketball. That's what I'll say for like skills.
mm,
You have to be able to shoot.
mm,
Maybe not like a three pointer if you're a center, but you at least have to be able to shoot like a mid-range shot
mm,
because teams, especially in European basketball, they scheme all day. They defensive scheme all day. If you can't shoot, they will leave you open and you will feel terrible about yourself. And even when you get an open shot, you probably won't shoot it because no one's guarding you.
mhm.
So you're always like, I don't know if this is the shot. They're kind of baiting me into this. I don't know
Right,
if I'm
right,
walking right into what they want.
right.
So you have to be able to shoot the basketball with confidence. I'll say that's the one skill that will always translate no matter where you go. Shoot, you have to be able to shoot.
He has another interesting question. Does the language barrier make it difficult to comprehend play calling? For you
Mm.
as a point guard, that's especially relevant.
Yeah. Um, I mean nowadays I play more combo guard, so it's more of a sometimes I can look at somebody else on the court and be like, oh, you know what the call is? Okay, cool. Tell me what that is.
I
Um, but no, I mean most coaches know that they have guys that are Americans that speak
mean,
only
yeah,
English.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's
Basketball is English is pretty much the language of basketball, especially these days.
yeah, exactly. Like English is everywhere. Even with the coaches that I've had that have speak like way less English, they'll still sometimes they make plays that are like it's a Spanish word or a a word from somewhere else that's not the language you speak. But like I said, if you learn how to follow directions,
Mhm.
like it's once they show it to you one time, you have to be able to do it on your own the next time when
Yeah,
you hear whatever like that trigger word is, whatever, even
yeah,
if it's not an English word.
right.
So,
Yeah. I remember when I played in France, and at the time I spoke no French, and my coach was like not speaking English. He just wasn't, and just learning the play calls in another language that helps tremendously. So I know what you mean.
mhm.
Okay, I just got one more. No, I got two more questions in the off the court stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, a little birdie told me. I tell you, wait, I do extensive research for these. A
Hmm.
little birdie told me that your nickname is the Crooked Commissioner.
Oh my gosh.
How do you keep
That's
your fantasy
mm,
football league,
mm,
aka your family and friends back home? How do you keep that in check while living abroad? Crooked Commissioner.
look. Look, I okay, I started the fantasy league. Let's start it here. I started the fantasy league because I was in Sweden and I was really far away from everybody that I loved, right? So I'm like, okay, I need an activity that we can all do together from
Mhm.
this way, right? So I founded the fantasy league, founder, and it started off as just fun, we're having a good
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I know how these things go. Yeah.
Exactly. And now everybody wants to, anytime something goes wrong, anytime there's a dispute or something, it always comes back to me. It's always
Right,
the
right.
commissioner allowed this to happen. So now I rule that league with an iron fist. I have no problem saying, suck it up, too bad, so sad, lock in, get it right. I have no problem with that. But those things, I commission the March Madness
Mhm.
brackets and everything every year. We have a football league on College Football 25 that I am
That
the
was
commissioner of.
your six-time champ.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, iron fist. And if you
Uh-huh.
have a problem, beat me. You got a problem, come win the game. So I rule those things. But we have a great time. We have a great time with that, and that's one of my those activities that I
Mhm.
do to stay, connected with my people back
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
And we have a good time. And there's people that they're mad, but I'm winning. They call me the crooked commissioner. It's
Mhm.
always a problem if I win, but come beat me then. Simple.
What speaking of beating, so I mean I've been in fantasy leagues too, and the best thing about it is at the end of the season when you have to pay up,
Hmm.
right? So do you have any good stories about what do you make your people do when they lose? What's the loser has to do? Any good stories about that?
See, and this is gonna come right back to the crooked commissioner stuff, right? So last year in fantasy football. In our league, you'll go through the whole season, and originally it was whoever comes in last at the end of the season before the playoffs,
Mhm.
whoever is in that last spot, you have to do a punishment. And I have an app on my phone with a wheel of like I'll take suggestions from everyone around the league.
Mhm.
Excuse me, I'll take suggestions, and you can either pick one or I'll spin the wheel for you, and you get to do that.
Mhm.
So last year, whoever came in last, boom, they're the one who's supposed to do the punishment. But in our app, it'll do the playoff bracket and then it'll do like a losers bracket for everyone who doesn't make the
Right.
playoffs. And apparently I wasn't clear enough that the losers bracket didn't matter. So the person who was last didn't end up last in the losers bracket. So then they were like, "Oh, I don't have to
Right.
do a punishment. I wasn't last." So this year, I said specifically at the beginning of the year, since everyone wants to complain, like I said, I rule with an iron fist. If you're last, you have to do a punishment. And if you're last in the playoff bracket, like the consolation bracket,
Right.
you also have to do a punishment. So we had two people do punishments this year. And I had one of my friends ran a milk mile. Do you know what a milk mile is?
No.
every you run a lap on the track and you have to like drink a gallon of milk in a mile. So every lap you stop and you drink milk. You stop and you drink milk. And at
Oh,
the end you have to finish a gallon. And we had them record it, sent it to the group. We all had a great
oh, that's
laugh.
disgusting. That's disgusting.
Exactly. Don't come in last.
Okay.
And the other person had we had them do like a travel vlog. Like they had to post a TikTok of them, like where you set the tripod up in Target and you're looking at the shelves, like, oh man, like I don't know what I want, like that type of. Did a whole thing, like a whole like a day in the life with him, and had to post it on TikTok. It was hilarious. We had a great laugh out of it. So I
Good.
mean,
Good.
don't come in last, and you won't
Yep.
have a problem with the
Yep.
crooked commissioner. You know what I mean? Like
That's how I go.
there's
Okay.
rules.
First, before I move on, Anna has a question. What are your favorite basketball shoes?
Oof, oof. I mean, I like the Kobe's. Any Kobe right now. I feel like the nines, Kobe nines are my favorites.
Mhm.
But I've been playing in a lot of Kobe's lately. I used to play in only LeBrons. Like the last couple of years, I was playing in straight LeBrons. But now I think it's the Kobe's. It's just I moved from comfort to swag. I mean,
Okay, I got you.
simple, simple.
I got you.
Sometimes you got to sacrifice for the good looks, and that's
You gotta look good to play
yeah,
good. I got you.
look good, play
No
good,
problem.
exactly.
No problem. Okay, so now we're gonna talk like real talk. So, how do you maintain focus and motivation during challenging times in your career?
Um, I would say it's not that hard for me to stay focused, honestly.
Mm,
Or I mean, focusing in sometimes is a little bit harder. Being motivated is not that.
mm,
It's like I always
mm.
the background that I have, like I don't really I can't afford to come in and like, like nothing was ever really handed to me.
Right,
Like I've had to work to get all this, so I know if I stop working, I'm gonna lose it all. Right?
right.
That's just kind of that's the way that I'm wired. So, but sometimes a refocus is needed for me when I don't know, like I have a bad game or something and I start focusing on the wrong things. Like
Mm,
I watch the game back and I notice that
mm.
like I'm not playing defense like I'm used to. I'm not like being aggressive with the ball like I'm used to. And sometimes for me, it just takes like that where I'll watch the game afterwards and I kind of have to like step out of myself and, be a little bit, I don't want to say critical, but like, I don't know. I have to critique myself sometimes, even though I'm always, you know how it is. I'm
Yeah,
always watching anything I do, like, oh,
yeah,
like
yeah,
you should have done this, you should have done that. Like I do that all the time, but I kind of have to turn it to sometimes I'll even hand it off to like one of the assistant coaches we have. Like I'll go to him and ask him what I can do to improve and like have him show me the film of this and that. Like sometimes I have to seek those things out
Sometimes you
myself.
sometimes you need a critical eye to show you something that you don't even see.
Exactly. Because I
Special
know it.
reads or
Yeah.
how your feet are on defense.
hmm
That's normal. Yeah.
Exactly. Those things I try to get from them all the time because I know those are the littler things, even like smaller things that
Mm,
I know if I can correct, it can like kind of pull my mind back into the right place of like what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I do the little things, like good things happen, so I'll keep doing these little things and I'll like they kind of just it lines the dominoes back up for me.
yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things I like to do is get another like a set of eyes to look at it and give me a little bit of something. Maybe not too much. Don't do a little too much on me now. I just need a little bit. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I feel you. I don't know why, but your camera is really bad. Does anybody else see that? Like he's really pixeled.
Be my
It wasn't like that at the beginning.
my Wi-Fi's kind of bad.
You got some dodgy Wi-Fi out there in
I
Spain.
do. It's you know how it is sometimes. Sometimes it ain't great.
Sometimes the Wi-Fi ain't Wi-Fi. Okay, I only got a couple more questions for you, man. Um, how have your experience overseas shaped you both as a player and as a person?
As a person, I think that being overseas has kind of like it really makes me appreciate like my friends and my family back home. Like it's kind of made those bonds a lot stronger because out here, like my first year I was here by myself. My wife wasn't able to travel with me, so like those bonds that I have with my friends, like that's really all I had. I had to, I'm playing the game at night with them, even though it's morning back home, but like that's like the only time that I get to like, laugh and joke and have fun with people like that.
Right.
And same with my brothers and my mom and my dad, like just talking to them all the time and it was my first time being away from home and it really like it can break those bonds sometimes or it can like really like reinforce them. And I feel like for me it really reinforced them. So now like ever since then I've really been able to like look at my bonds with people and like really appreciate them in real time. And I think that's something really special.
So,
And as a player, man, I feel like it's taught me so much about like production, production on the court, and especially in the European game, like back home, if you have 20, like that's a really good game. Sometimes here in Spain, if I have 10, I'm like, okay, like you're reaching that point where that's gonna be a good game. You know what I mean? So like more of an all around thing, and it's not so much, focused on just what you do on offense or what you do with the ball in your hands. Like there's so many other things that I can do that uh affect the game and they're appreciated more, I feel like, here, and I get to at least see that people of like at least like the GMs and the coaches will tell you like you don't always have it's not always about scoring. Like you do other things for us that are very important. And I feel like you don't really hear that. Like coaches and front office people back home might think that sometimes, but I feel like they don't always it's not always known that
Right.
you're doing some things that aren't scoring that are appreciated. So that's something that, you know, is has been big for me, I feel like, as a player.
What's one piece of advice, since you were a player that has bet on himself constantly in your career? What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to take their game overseas that's maybe not on the biggest stage, the brightest lights back home in America, and are looking to come overseas?
I would say my one piece of advice is to take every opportunity that you have and take it like it's the highest opportunity that you're going to get.
Mm,
And what I like to think back of like when I was playing in Sweden, like okay, like I got there and I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if I'm playing the right way. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know if I'm on the court and I'm spraying back on defense, I'm in the passing lanes, I'm making sure my guy doesn't score. I'm talking on defense, like I'm doing all those things. Like I know if I do those things, they won't be unnoticed and
right,
it'll those are some of the things that can move you up to the next level.
right.
Obviously, you have to score and you have to be able to do those things as an American playing overseas. But I feel like there's so many things that you can focus on at the same time and be that player that will get you to the next level.
Mm,
And that's those things like you want to keep as an overseas player, you want to, okay, you go from Sweden, you go to Germany, you go to Spain, you go, France, you can keep jumping up all of these leagues. You can keep rising if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're taking these opportunities very seriously. I've been in many opportunities where some Americans don't take them super seriously and they're just kind of there collecting a paycheck and you
mhm.
can kind of tell that they're not going to keep going any higher than this. So if you want to keep going higher, like you really have to be focused every day in those little things and you may not agree with the coach, but the coach decides who's on the court. So you gotta fall in line at some point. So
I got you. Okay, I'll ask one more question from the watchers. Who is your best friend in on your Spanish team?
oh, that's a good question.
She threw
That's
you
a
under the bus
good
right there.
that's a good question. I would feel like I kind of feel like it's Dylan Ennis. Me and Dylan are real close, and like all of us are really. This team has been so close, and especially like the me and Dylan and Howard, San Ross, like Costas, all of us, we were super close this year, and I would feel like, but me and Dylan, he can we played at Gala. We both played at Gala. We kind of have a little similar background and, can relate on some more of those things. So I feel like me and Dylan connected when I first got here last year. Me and Dylan connected. So I would say it's Dylan. Me and Dylan Ennis. We're locked in.
Okay, my last question. What's next on your basketball to-do list? What goals do you have set for yourself for your future?
Um, my basketball to-do list, I want to win a title. I don't know what, like, it doesn't matter to me which title. I want to win. I've been really close to winning Champions League a couple of times.
Mhm.
Last year we made it to the finals of the Spanish League. Um like I played in Super Copa once. That's something I don't have a ton of experience in. But like those types of things, like I want to win a title really bad. And I feel like I've gotten kind of as high as you can go. I've played in EuroLeague. I'm in Spain now for 2 years. I've I've kind of reached a lot of those heights, and I feel like the next
Now,
thing of these heights, yeah, like I need to win a title. It's not good enough me just being here
mhm.
because being here I personally it is an accomplishment, but I think the next step for me is to win a title. So, and I know that's not easy, and I know it's not gonna, it's not just gonna appear in my hands, but I feel like that's something that if I accomplish that, that'll be one of the probably the highest point in my career.
I can tell you, you'll probably win more than one, but your first one is by far, by far the best one. My first title, I didn't let go of the trophy like the whole bus ride home. The next day, I had kept that thing. I got pictures. I took it everywhere. Nobody got it. I had it with me. So the first one is always the best one. But yeah. So that's all the questions I got for you, my guy. I have one last thing, and this is something I do at this point in every interview. I ask the current guests for a recommendation of someone. It can be a player, it can be a general manager, it can be anybody in the basketball, European or not European, overseas basketball world, but you have to help me get this person. So I'll probably
Mm.
write them and they probably won't answer my PM. So you have to actively try to help me get this person, and it can be anybody. You've been on the show now, you know what it's like. So who do you recommend for as a guest? And I will
The
write them and try to hook something up.
I got two people that came to mind first thing. My first one was Troy Copain,
Okay.
playing for Strasbourg right now.
Okay.
And Troy has dropped he had like a couple of videos, had a couple of gems, and I'm like, when Troy was here, me and Troy were also really close too. So I feel like Troy would be a great person to have on the show. My other person is James Woodard, he played in Poland this season. We played together in Germany. He's got a wife, two kids. We hung out a little. He played in the second league in Turkey when I was there. We hung out a lot during like Christmas and all of those things. So he's more vetted in this overseas game. I feel like he'll have some gems to drop also, and he loves to talk. So I know one of them would be a good one. I've got those two right there. You can write both
Okay.
of them, and I'll tell both of them.
You're gonna when you get off, send me their IGs. You hit them up, and then I'll hit them up as well, and then that's how we'll go forward.
Yeah, say no more. I
Yona,
got you.
I really appreciate you, man. I seen you play when you were in Lewisburg. I'm very familiar with your game and everything. Me being a coach, I like to break down players, and that's why I wanted to have you on because when you were here, I really enjoyed watching you play, and I like to see the rise in your career, and I hope you get that title, more than one title, and I'll be the first to be like, I interviewed him before he had a title. And you never know, I might run into you somewhere in the streets of Denver because that's where my brother lives.
Okay.
But I appreciate you, my guy, and get on. I know you're about to go home tomorrow. You got to pack. Tell Liz I said hi and thank you for the information. It's always the wife that tells. So, so tell her I said thank you. And yeah, man, have a good off season. And I know you'll be grinding this off season to, get back to work when it's time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you,
Appreciate you
man.
having me on.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
Later. So everyone, again, we had some dodgy Wi-Fi, but all in all, I'm very happy with that interview. It's always, like I said before, I don't know if you guys heard it, but it's always nice to interview someone who I have seen play and really appreciate their game. And so I'm really fortunate that this interview actually happened, and he was a great addition to the Let's Talk crew. And yeah, that's about it for me. I will be back next week with another interview that I'm also looking forward to. Okay, I look forward to all my interviews. So, but I appreciate all of you, whether you've been here for the 1 minute or for the 44 minutes that we've been on until now. And I hope to see some of you on future episodes. Hope all your family and friends are doing well. Thank you. Old head out.